name is Chris Nishin. I am a longtime fly fishing guide and a board member at the Tennessee Wildlife Federation. I'm here to tell you fly fishing is fun. It is another arrow in the quiver, and it is nowhere near as hard as people think. As a matter of fact, I'm 59 years old and I taught myself how to fly cast at 9 years old. I didn't have the tools that you're going to be able to use today, but this is simple, easy, and if you can use a hammer, you can learn to fly fish. A lot of times I get asked the question, why a fly rod? I love catching fish on bait. I love catching fish with lures using spinning or bait casting, what I will refer to today as conventional tackle. And I'll tell you, we will have a virtually weightless lure that we call a fly, and this system was developed to be able to cast that. So we use a heavy line, a long rod, and with your energy fed into this system, you'll be able to cast a fly as far as you want. Don't let fly fishing intimidate you. Yes, the rod is long, but that's going to help you out. Speaking of rods, when you go to buy a rod, I suggest going to a pro shop or a fly shop. But if you decide to go any other route, what you will want as a beginner is a rod that has a little bit of flex. I'll explain the flex later on, but that will help you feel what you're doing, and it will go a long way to helping you learn how to cast. In just a second, I'm going to show you how to rig this rod, and in a couple of minutes, we're going to be in the water showing you how to cast. When you put your reel on your rod, you want the line coming off parallel to the rod. And here's a mistake I see a lot of people do. They want to take the very end where the fly is and they want to try to string it up through here. That's too difficult, especially when you're 59 years old and you have old eyes. Fold your line in half, stick it up through the guides here, and then in case you accidentally drop it, it won't go anywhere. There's several acceptable grips for using a fly rod. I'm just going to show you one. My favorite one is thumb on top. I found that to be the best grip. I can control the rod wherever my thumb is pointing, the tip end of the rod is pointing, and that becomes very important. You don't want to squeeze this to death. You just want to have good control of it. A lot of people ask, why the heavy line? This heavy line is going to store energy in this rod while I'm casting, and then that energy will transfer down the line and it will carry the fly behind it. Remember, in fly fishing, the line carries the lure. In conventional fishing, the lure carries the line. We are going to take the rod from pointing at the water, come back, let the line straighten out behind us. We're going to come forward. Once the line straightens out in front, we're going to drop the rod to the water, much as you would do with a hammer. Pick it up off the table, stroke back, bang, hit the nail forward, put the hammer back on the table. Now, in learning how to fly cast, I'm going to need you to give me some energy, what I call oomph. I really need this to be somewhere at about the 60% range, about 60% of your effort. I know when I'm casting, I am not using that much effort, and you won't either once you learn how to cast. But to start off, I really need some of that effort and energy. What we're going to do is the line's going to be laying in the water in front of us. I'm going to pick the rod up sharply. I'm going to allow the line time to straighten out behind me. And as the line starts to straighten out, that's as much weight that can be on the end of this rod. I'm then going to come forward. That line is going to unroll in the air, and when it unrolls out over my target, I'm going to slowly lower the rod. Remember, nothing in fly casting has to be hurried. It's the effort that you're going to feed this rod along with the energy stored in the rod by the heavy weight of the line that's going to make the fly cast for you. I have to talk rod position. If we are trying to put a bend in this rod, that is stored energy. So the straighter up in the air my rod is, or the closer to a V, I like to say a V, the more that the rod can have bend in it. The more you lay the rod parallel to the water or to the ground, it is very difficult to have a bend in it. As long as you maintain this V with you being in the center, I don't care if you cast straight up and down or if you cast slightly to the side. I'm not a fan of straight sidearm casting, learning how to, but I do like to keep my arm off to one side. Very much like I was picking up a rock and trying to throw it. My arm is cocked to one side, I come back, I let go, and that is an easy motion. It is very simple. That is all there is to it. You feed it energy, let the rod and the line do the rest. Here I'm going to give you a demonstration. One thing I didn't tell you, for purposes for you all, always hold the line in your off rod hand. For me, that's my left hand. If you are left-handed, you just reverse everything I say. Basically, what's going to happen on the forward cast will have to happen on the back cast. So I'm going to keep my rod low to the water. I'm going to accelerate smoothly from the start. I'm going to come to a stop. When I come to a stop, the line is going to fly out back. And then when the line has almost straightened out, I'm going to come forward. Back, forth, down. Back, forth, down. Notice that my rod is fairly tight. This would be my back cast, this would be my forward cast. Back, forth, down. I am not bending my wrist very much. You can be a wrist caster, but it is very difficult to control where the rod tip is pointing. I'm going to show you a common mistake that people make. They want to put too much effort into it and really try to throw this line. And it goes nowhere. The reason is we did not hesitate. Put less effort into it, let the line straighten out behind you, come forward, and you've just made a fly cast. It is not as difficult as people like to say. Back, forth, and then down. Okay, that's the basic pickup and lay down cast. Now, here's something for you. Since we are keeping the line going front and back, rest assured, the same amount of time that it takes to unroll in front of you is the same amount of time it's taking to unroll behind you. Because remember this for the rest of your life. For the basic fly cast, power and speed are always equal. Use the same amount of power going back and forth and the same amount of speed. Lastly, I'm going to show you how to let line slip through your fingers. We do nothing different except our off-rod hand comes into the cast. We're going to hold it back, go forward, hold it back, and notice my left hand opens up. The timing of this is very difficult. It takes a bit of training with your left hand and your brain. Let go of the line on the forward cast when your rod comes to its stopping position. Remember, when the rod comes to the stop, let go of the line. I'm going to say the words stop, and therefore you can see my hand letting the line slide through my fingers. Stop. Stop. And I've just worked line out. Let's go back and review. We're holding our line in our off-rod hand. We're going to accelerate smoothly, coming to a stop. The line will fly out behind us. Go forward, coming to a stop, the line will unroll. We're going to do this quickly because this is just a review. Down, back, forth, down. please be sure to check out Hunting and Fishing Academy. This is where we really go in depth and you can learn even more. Or just simply check out the website. You can learn more about the outdoors and nature, hunting and fishing. It's very important to the mission here at Tennessee Wildlife Federation. For now, I'm Chris Nishin. Tight lines and straight shooting.